Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest is Laura Sawosko. Laura and I have a couple of things in common. We both went to Catholic high school and, well, we both lived in the Chicago area. But there's a lot of differences too, including her new record that's coming out called Not What I Do, where she talks about her college days. And, well, we dig into that, plus we dig into a lot of other things. So tune in. Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I noticed in one of your videos I was watching that you are from Wisconsin.
Summers, yes, every summer of my life. I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and then yes, I go to Wisconsin every summer of my life. So I think you can kind of hear the accent. It's kind of stuck, even though I'm in Nashville. I kind of heard an accent with you. Where are you from?
Right now, currently, I live in outside of Rockford, but I am originally
Wow.
from New Orleans. That's why I picked up
Okay.
on the Wisconsin thing because, that's right, like 8 miles I drive that way north, and there I am.
Very
So,
familiar. I have friends from Rockford. Yeah.
yeah. I've lived all over the Chicago area, but I'm originally from New Orleans. So
Okay.
the accent, because I've lived in Dallas and Indiana, it's kind of muddled.
Yeah. Well, some people can hear it. When I first moved to Nashville in 2010, they're like, I'm waitressing, and I'm like, hey y'all, how you doing? And they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, I guess I'm not fitting in too well.
Well, I had the same problem. I moved from New Orleans. I had lived there for 16 years, and then we moved to Shreveport, which has very much a twang, that Texas twang.
Okay.
And then I moved to Dallas, and between Shreveport and Dallas, everybody's like, "Are you from New York?" I'm like, "No, I'm further south than that." No, no, you sound like you're from New York. So, yeah, I think because you're from around here, you can tell that I don't have that true Chicago accent.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but
Like my siblings, they all lived there most of their lives, so you can hear a slight difference between me and them, and it's okay.
yeah, I've lived.
I can pretend to be really Wisconsin, don't you know?
Don't you know there? Yeah, I've lived here. I lived here longer than I had in New Orleans, so it's funny that you can still. There's certain words that I pronounce that, yeah, it's strictly New Orleans. So, but
What's one word?
well, I mean, there's things in New Orleans that we don't have up here. A median, okay? So median is what everybody knows what a median is. In New
Mhm.
Orleans, we called it a neutral ground.
I'd be like, what?
Exactly. And I grew up, my grandfather worked on the railroad, so a grip, was different than a grip. A grip was something that you would use to help with the suitcases and stuff, but so we would call a
Okay.
suitcase a grip. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
Wow.
Yeah, my friends had a field day with the whole grip thing because Hart had a candle in my grip was one of the lines. And of course, one of my friends is like, "Wouldn't your clothes catch on fire then?" But
That's interesting.
well, I think
I've
wherever
never
you
heard that.
wherever you go, I think there's little pieces of slang that you're not going to pick up in different areas.
Now there are certain words I say always say I'll never put in an song because I can't pronounce it correctly, and that would be moon. I cannot say moon.
Moon.
I can't say it.
I have a
Moon.
problem with poem. That's one word.
Ah,
It always, I don't know why. It's one of those things where, like you get stuck. And I always had
uh-huh.
fun when I would bring people down to New Orleans because there's the infamous Chapatulas that is spelled like TCH da 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 da. It's a long
Okay.
word, and I just look at people and go, "How do you say that?" Yeah. But anyway, we did not come here to discuss, Chicago and New Orleans and all this. We came here to talk about you. So you have a new record coming out called Not What I Do, and I heard your track College Days that you just released. What was this is really silly because what was the day for inspiration for College Days? Hmm.
High school. No, I'm kidding. Yes, college. Yes. I went to Arizona State University, and I have to say it again. I told my mom before the song was released, I graduated with honors. I did have fun on the weekends, but I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm very happy I went there. I had a great education, but I also had a lot of fun, and it was also during my time of wondering and realizing who I was in terms of my sexuality. So then it was, sometimes drinking because it wasn't fun. And it wasn't until I saw Brandy Clark, who's an Americana country artist, And I listen to her lyrics, and I'm always growing as a songwriter. And I'm like, wait a second, I can be funny in my songs and I can bring wit and humor. And I never crossed my mind until 2022. So I had fun writing that one because it was like, oh, I got another good line. And I was just making myself laugh. So when it came time to shoot the video, which is one of my singles from this album, we had a lot of fun and they had all these set changes. And she's like, is that what you wore in college? And I came out with my leather coat on and my baseball hat on. And she's like, all right, go with it. I'm like, yes, that's what I wore.
Well, you got to own yourself, and maybe, parents don't. It's funny because parents don't look at kids the way as they grow. Not really. They don't look at you and see you because when I went back to college, I after my first marriage, I was 27. And yes, I was a little older to be going to college again, but I lived with my dad. This was the first time I lived with my dad since I was 9. And so dad was treating me still like I was 9. It's like,
That's funny.
no, dude. But the same can be said. It's like you look at your parents with this lens of, oh my gosh, they're so good. And when you start looking at them as normal human beings, I think that's the whole
Yeah,
thing because the parent-child dynamic just sets different aspects for our personalities. So we don't really look at it. So
right.
like you have to saying to your mom, well, yeah, I got good. I graduated with honors. I mean, you had to explain yourself because you're scared your mom's going to have a different opinion.
Yes, especially when well, they paid for college. So I'm like, just, that money was worth spent.
Hmm.
And it was also important for me to become who I am as a person. I have to say, if I went to one of the schools nearby in Chicago or Wisconsin, I don't think I'd be the same person and I wouldn't be able to be who I am. And so I was a very shy child. I didn't even want to play piano in front of my family. I'm like, keep talking, don't look at me. I was that shy. So when it came to going to Arizona State away from my family, um, I really became who I am. So I think it was important.
It is, and I think that's the good thing about moving away. Because I mean, I did the same. I didn't go
Mhm.
to college initially, but I moved to Dallas. My mom was still in
Mhm.
Shreveport. My dad was in New Orleans, and I moved to Dallas with a friend because I wanted to experience life on my terms. And I
It
think
was
that's,
scary,
yeah,
but yeah,
that's the thing. It is scary. You have to be willing to take that step and take that
yeah,
risk. And it would be so easy to just go back home.
right. I
But
mean, I was youngest of five. My parents were and have always been my best friends, so we were always very close. So to move away, yeah, it was a little traumatic at first. The first year, yeah, I did not really fit in at all. I didn't find my people, but then after sophomore year and on, so you could see that from that song, I did have fun. And it's kind of like a saying people, I think everybody says in college, everyone's gay in college. I think we all just experiment. And so that's just a funny joke. So that's why I had to have the first line of the song be, college was the best days, went in straight and came out gay. So that's kind of my story.
I think at that age, we're trying to figure out who we are too. I mean, who are we really?
Oh yeah.
And besides that, you have all these new, dare I say, the buffet of life being presented to
Uh-huh.
you. Because yes, you have the alcohol, you have what other substances may be out there, and then you have
Yeah.
different types of people that you
Oh, I
discover.
never saw people that were different from me, really. We have a similarity. We both went to an all girls Catholic high school.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
we were all pretty much the same. There wasn't a lot of diversity, a lot of Irish Catholics, and, we're the same thing every day. And then you send me off to Arizona, and I'm like, what?
I always
You're not
laugh.
Catholic?
I wasn't Catholic either. It was like, okay, I'm in a Catholic. I wanted to go to that school.
Really?
I did actually because, okay, so blank had this ever since I was a little kid. They used to we have Mardi Gras down there. So they would have these Mardi Gras parades, and they had this dance team that had little blue velvet outfits with little white rabbit fur trim, and I always wanted to be one of those people. I did. I always wanted to be one of those people.
Funny.
And so my mom was going to send me to school, and I was going to try out for dance team, but my mother had been in my head so much that I had no rhythm, which is funny because I ended up being a bass player, that I backed out and joined flatline instead. And
Oh,
it's one of those things where I get ticked off at myself because I let her take up space instead of just doing it.
yeah.
And so I ended up on flatline, which was fine, but it's just I didn't get my outfit. That whole reason I wanted to go to that school. And I know you know this too. Catholic girls' school. You start out as a freshman with that skirt below your knee, and by the time you hit senior year, that skirt is mid thigh.
Yes, yes.
And nobody ever
They,
talks about that.
I know that is funny. The nuns, we can only roll it up so much before getting in trouble. And I should have known back then I was not attracted to boys the way I should have been because they had an all boys Catholic prep school right next to us. And I didn't go there once, not once. I didn't go on the grounds. And it was just a piece of grass between us. And I never wanted to. So I think that does not say something.
Yeah,
So it's like when people are surprised, I'm like, really?
yeah, really? Are you? And I think that's the thing. People don't, when you're in a Catholic girls' school, it's a different environment. And yeah, I guess, I mean, I never thought about it because I didn't really, I was so, how do I say this? I was so inexperienced that I didn't really think about any of that. I was, I went to a Lutheran school prior to that, and they gave us this, we had sex ed. I still have the book because it's too funny not to. The book was called Take the High Road.
Wow.
So you know what this is going to be. This is going to be all about this is, and the girls got separated from the boys for the class, and they talked to us about our anatomy, and they talked about the boys' anatomy, and the only real sex ed we had was abstinence
Really?
because otherwise you'd be doing the devil's work.
Wow.
You had to wait. Granted, this is 1981, and
Yeah.
to have sex ed at all was, something back then, but yeah.
I don't, to be honest, I don't remember sex ed at all. I remember in grammar school, like a video being played that was a Catholic school too, in Chicago. And I don't remember anything except this video where they talked about lesbians and they had these butch ladies with short hair marching and they were yelling and they said, these are lesbians. And I thought, thank God I'm not one of those because, they don't like them and they're going to hell and all this. So that's all I heard about being gay when I was in grammar school. So that's why I never assimilated with that. And I'm like, that's me. And then, obviously later on in life, I'm like, what are these feelings? So it's not like today where it's like, what are you? Are you straight or gay? Now
Right.
it was like, it's just assumed. It wasn't talked about, just like you're talking about, you don't
Well,
mention it.
no. And I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day because in seventh grade, they had brought in the abortion thing. And my mom refused to sign a permission slip for me to watch it because they gave out the pamphlets about the woman killing her baby, that I'm so happy to see the whole little story that goes with that narrative. And then they showed aborted fetuses. And then once you completed the program, you got a little set of feet. Hmm.
How old were you?
This would have been seventh grade. I didn't go.
Wow.
I didn't. My mom refused to sign. She was like, "No, you're not going to that." She's like, "I don't want
Wow.
you dealing with that." And it was an anti-abortion thing, of course. So you
Yeah,
were
we didn't have that, but that's a
the
lot for a child
yeah.
to
So, I mean,
process.
seventh grade. So what are you? Maybe 12, 11, 12,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're putting. But this
Wow.
is how. And so yeah, this is how you program people. But anyway, we're not going to go there
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
are you
it
really
was
educated?
interesting, yeah, growing up, but I mean, I still am Catholic, and that's still kind of taboo for some people to understand. How can you be gay and Catholic? Because they don't seem to mix. But in all honesty, from the time I came out and talked to numerous priests, not one said you're going to hell. That's horrible. They just said just be in a monogamous relationship, just like you would if you were straight and God loves you, and that's all I've received. I know that's not the case for a lot of people, and so I'm sorry to hear that because Jesus is love. So when people hate in the name of Jesus, that's my least favorite thing, I'd have to say.
I actually earlier today I talked to Lamal. I don't know if you remember Lamal with Never Ending Story. He sang Never Ending Story back in the 80s and Too Shy with Kaja Gugu.
Oh,
And him and I were talking, and at the end of the podcast, where he starts telling me about how he's been in a relationship with a gentleman for, I think, 34 years. And this is his life
wow.
partner. And how he ended up. So it's interesting that we're talking about this again because he ended up talking about, he's like, I don't understand why we're going to people being abusive about this when it's love. And it's true, it
Right.
is love. And I think that's the thing. If you can find somebody that loves you and gets you and is supportive of you, what does it matter if they're a guy or a girl? What does it matter if somebody wants to change their gender? It's none of your freaking business, you know?
Yeah, I would say it's really not that different. I mean, it's been a lifelong of struggle to accept who I am, to be accepted just in general. There are limitations. I don't just walk down the street holding my girlfriend's hand because you are going to hear something from someone. It's just not worth it. It's also not safe to
Mhm.
women, and you never know. So it's kind of, I'm programmed that way. So when we were at the zoo, I'm looking around and you see the man and the woman holding hands and this, I'm like, I don't know what that's like, to be honest. And then we went around the corner by, the giraffes and no one was around. I'm like, hold my hand. I mean, mind you, we're older. And I'm like, and just to hold her hand for 1 second, we felt like rebels. So it's very different that I don't think straight people would ever understand. That's why in this album, I'm like, this is the first time I have ever been honest about who I am in all regards. So that's what makes this album so special, whether it's my sexuality or, going up to Wisconsin every summer. I wouldn't tell Nashville people that, like in the industry, because I thought they're not going to think I'm a serious artist when we have a family business up there. And so I think serious artists know that you have to have a means to make money because it's not always in your profession. I think it's like less than 1% that can make a living just from music. So, you know, so that honesty is something I never was able to share. So now we have a song called More Than Just a Burger about the restaurant. My mom and dad starting it in 1977. Um, we also have a song called Home, which is about the Midwest and the island and how special it is. I don't want word to get out too much about this island because I love it so much and we don't want it to become like Nashville, but it is a special place. So that's what this album is for me, just honesty. And I think in the specifics, there's more people that can relate to it. I mean, I'm sure you can understand, a small town or whatever that looks like to you. There's a song about losing my father 2 years ago and what grief looks like. So it wasn't fun, trust me. Right after my dad died, I was writing lyrics because I thought if I can channel this and make someone feel less alone, then it's worth it. But it was extremely difficult. But that's in the album too.
Well, and the thing is, when you're dealing with grief as a
Mhm.
creative, the one thing you want to do is channel it. You always will channel it. I don't care how it comes about. It's just it'll seep into your words. If you're a lyricist, if you're a writer, it seeps in there. I mean, when I lost my husband, same thing. I ended up sitting down and I wrote a death scene for a character. I most likely will never use it, but I wrote it because I think it's easier sometimes to deal with your grief in that kind of way than actually call it avoiding mechanism, I guess, too. You can avoid it somewhat by not going deep in looking at what you really have lost because you're trying to help somebody else. So you put a spin on it that this is going to help somebody else. It's also about helping you, but you don't want to look at that necessarily.
No, you're right. It did. It did help me a lot. I think some people, maybe it helped me move on faster than if I didn't, deal with it and analyze it and think about it. I think if you just, are in denial, I think it's just going to last longer, maybe.
Grief is a weird thing. I mean, it for me, it's always been a weird thing because it's like I'll deal with it and I think I've done it and
Mhm.
then it comes back.
Right. I had to go to counseling after that one. And she did say it's like a circle and there's many different points you'll reach, and now I'm happy to say I'm like at back up here at like 11 o'clock.
Hmm.
But she said you might go back, and I'm like, wait, so if I go back to a 2 on the clock, do I have to go through all the steps to get back to where I was? She's like, no, after a while you'll just jump around to these little points. And so I was on the treadmill, I think 2 days ago, jogging, listening to music, and I saw a man in front of me on the elliptical that reminded me of my father. And yeah, all of a sudden I have tears, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm a pretty steady person. I'm not really up and down. I'm like, what the heck? And then I'm like, all right, let's get back into it. So grief, I think, will just catch you off guard.
Oh yeah. Because it's something that we don't really talk about. I mean, you talk about coping mechanisms. We're not taught really how to deal with stress. We're definitely not taught how to deal with grief because we don't want to talk about dying. We don't want to
Right.
really examine that. It all happens to us, but how many of us really sit down and
Mhm.
have that uncomfortable conversation with our parents going, "Okay, what do you want done?" And I mean, recently I
Right.
had to face my own stuff because I was diagnosed with cancer. So it was kind of like, okay, so what am I doing? What's going to happen now?
Wow.
Before surgery, I mean, I passed the surgery and we're on the other side, but it's just like
Good.
you got all those thoughts in your head of suddenly, wait,
Hmm.
do I have everything in place that needs to be in place?
Right.
And so you're forced to deal with it. And I think that's something that we're not really prepared for on any level in general.
I don't think so. I think the only person that has been my mom my whole life. Like she's like, "Oh, we're all gonna die," and I'm like, "Mom, like I'm this little sensitive musician. Like I don't want to talk about death." And like she's like, "Oh, stop, we're all gonna die." And so I've always been aware. She's made it known now that she's in her mid 80s. She's like, "I'm gonna enjoy life. I'm in the back nine. I'm gonna have fun." And so um, she's always talked about, and she's my best friend, and I don't want to talk about death. So she's the only one that, in my experience, that has been okay with it. She's like, oh, it's fine. For me, I was blessed to be with my father when he passed away, and it was me, my brother, and my mom. And so I played piano up until almost his last breaths. I was listening, and when it slowed down, and we thanked him for everything that he did for us. And just to have that opportunity, I know a lot of people don't have. So seeing death firsthand was something I've never experienced. I know most people probably have, unfortunately, but yeah, that was something. So it's hard to go back to that moment, but in our faith, we believe that we are eternal beings. So I always say, I'm happy you're in heaven, Dad, and I'm happy Mom's in Florida. So when I get sad, that's my mantra.
Well, and the one thing I learned, because my mom died when I was early, I didn't look at her health history. I had no clue of anything because you don't think about it. You're dealing with grief. You're not thinking, okay, I need to make sure of certain things. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that's another part of this that we don't pay attention to because guess what? Genetics is not the best thing in the world. So
Yeah.
you have to look at your parents' genetics and make
Right.
sure you have all that information. Otherwise, you're like, because they have your grandparents' information, hopefully, and it all comes
Mhm.
together. But
Oh, yeah. They always ask, when you get a mammogram, did anyone in your family have breast cancer? And
mhm.
so um, I have
So,
pretty good genes, but yeah, pretty
so
good.
you played Lilith Fair, huh?
I did. I was the keyboardist in a band called Surrender Dorothy, and it was incredible. I can't say enough about Sarah McLachlin. She was so kind. I felt like I was up there with them because she was like, come on, we're all backstage from, Desert Sky Pavilion. So we were all in the back in Arizona, backstage, and I really just wanted to soak it all up. So I'm like, I'm gonna eat by the catering booth. I'm gonna run around in the back. She offered me a massage from her personal masseuse. I didn't go that far, but that was very kind of her. She said she gets one done before she goes on stage. I'd probably be drooling and half asleep. So not a good idea for me, but it was incredible. And we thought that was the beginning of our career as a band and our success. And unfortunately, that was one of our last shows, and we all kind of went elsewhere. They have a rule in a band, and I broke it. You do not date a member of the band.
I
And
broke
I
it.
dated the lead singer. So she, you know, I didn't want to be the Yoko Ono of the band, but I kind of was. So that was
Understand.
kind of funny. Yeah.
Understand. So okay, so we have this, and then let's not forget you were also on Fear Factor.
Oh, yeah.
What possessed you to say, "Hey, let me go do a Fear Factor"? I understand it was about getting money for the music,
Mhm.
but of all the shows, why Fear Factor?
I love the show. This is weird, but during dinner time, we would watch that as a family. So me, my mom, and whoever, my brother, and we'd watch Fear Factor. And I'm like, I want to be on that, which is funny because the show wasn't on that long prior to me being on it. Because when I look back, I'm like, wait, I was on season 2.
Hmm.
So we didn't really see a lot of episodes. It just came out, and I'm like, I'm afraid of heights. I'm not the bravest person by any means, but I thought, yeah, I could do that. And it's funny because I had panic attacks graduating from college after I realized I was gay. So at one point, I was agoraphobic and housebound. So this was like soon after that, and I recovered from all of that anxiety, and now I'm going on Fear Factor. So that's kind of funny when I look back the timing.
And so you wrote a bull.
And I wrote a bull, and it was great. I don't know. My brother should have been on the show. He auditioned with me, and he's the one that's fearless and fun, and he should have been on it. They picked me because during the audition, we gave them what they wanted because we knew they wanted them to be loud, obnoxious. So that's what we gave them. We were cutting people off when they were talking, and so I advanced. My brother did not. So, you know, in retrospect, he should have been on there, but he had me so hyped up when I went on. I wasn't afraid. I can honestly say I was not afraid to get on that bull, but when I watch it now, I'm like, what were you doing? I was 95 pounds. I was so small after anxiety. They didn't barely had a life vest for me when I was, I had to be fitted for the one where they went down into the river from this ship and you had to dangle there. I didn't get to advance to that, but I had to be, fitted for that. And they're like, you're so small. I don't think we have a vest for you. But anyway, it's just timing was just so funny. So yes, I thought to advance my music career, and I also wanted to be on TV. I thought it'd be fun. So I wrote a bull, and I jacked up my wrist on the mechanical bull. So we had to practice on a mechanical bull, and somehow I didn't have a wrist guard or anything. And that lasted, I would say, for a year of pain. Not the real bull, the mechanical bull.
Wow.
So that was funny.
So did you ever, since you've been on TV, have you thought about auditioning for like X Factor or something?
I have not. I don't know. I guess I'm more sane these days. I don't know. I ate cow brains. They were as gross as you would think. Have you ever had brains?
No.
So, some people have.
Yeah, I know. Not me. Seeing Indiana Jones with the chilled monkey brains, that scene was enough for me that I was like, no brains. Sorry. No, I'm not gonna eat brains.
We didn't know what we were gonna do. They had us blindfolded in the van, so that was sketchy enough. Like a van with no windows. Then we're blindfolded. I'm like, is this part of the show? This is kind of scary.
Are we being abducted or? Yeah, my late husband loved Fear Factor, and I was just like, no.
You didn't like it?
No.
No.
Watching people eat really gross stuff. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Some of the other things were okay, but the eating of mm-mm.
And I'm a very slow eater. Like even if it's filet mignon, I'm a slow eater. So I did my best. I ran out of time. I hate those people that run out of time. I'm like, just scarf it down. And I was, but the consistency was like Jello, I say, and it was kind of like there was eggshells in it or something veiny. So by the time it's trying to go down my throat, I'm gagging, and it was really difficult to swallow it. So yeah.
And then from there, you also have worked on some movie. You worked on a movie theme song, "The Intimate Friendship" by
An Intimate Friendship. That was in Arizona as well, yes. And I did the piano music for it, and it was an incredible experience. I enjoyed it. And Melissa Etheridge has a song on it, and then all my piano music. So we got to see, the opening in a theater. And so every time my name went up in the credits, we were all clapping. And so it was a lot of fun. I loved it.
And then you have America's Funniest Video too, huh?
I know. Yes, it was at our restaurant. There was a seagull outside the counter, and I saw it, and I said, what if we gave it a hot dog? Would it like it? It was a cold hot dog because I didn't want it to burn its mouth. and it ended up sucking it up like spaghetti. And you might have seen it, I don't know. And all of a sudden it's gone. And this whole hot dog gets swallowed whole. And so I'm videotaping because I videotape everything. Before there was TikTok and all this, I've been taping my whole life. And so I happened to videotape this. And then we're like, well, give it another one. And then all of a sudden it projected out like whole hot dog, like came flying out of its mouth. So we thought, wouldn't this be so funny to send it in? And then I got a call from America's Funniest Home Videos, and they're like, hey, we want to use your video. So they flew me and one guest out, and I wanted to bring mom. So we went to California. So I came in third, was it third place? And I only got $2,000, but we got a free trip to California. It was fun. So I promised, we called the seagull Al because our restaurant's the Albatross. So I promised Al French fries for life. So I know it's a different seagull now, but I do sometimes sneak some French fries for the seagulls.
Nice. So you, from Arizona, you moved to Nashville, correct?
Yes, yes.
Which, I mean, Chicago, you have much, you go from the snow to the desert to Nashville, which is, the weather's not too bad there, I would assume.
Nashville, it's so weird. Yesterday was 74 and I'm in a tank top, and today I'm in a thermal and it's 47 and windy. So it's very...
You know what, though? Chicago's been that way. It was 80, I think, Friday, and then
Really?
Sunday we had snow.
Wow. My family got hit with snow in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah, I joke around that, yes, Mother Nature's menopausal right now because you can't make up your mind if it's going to be hot or cold or what. Yesterday we had storms. It was 50 something, and then we had snow in the middle of the night.
Well, then you know what it's like. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah. Who knows what it's going to be like tomorrow? I never know if I need a coat or a tank top. So,
I understand.
but yes, I moved to Nashville. You know, why would I leave sunshine almost every day of the year and friends that I loved? A great songwriting community. I was affiliated with Chicks with Picks and got to, you know, open for Michelle Branch, Sarah Buxton. And actually, Sarah Buxton was the one that said, you should move to Nashville, girl. It's really great. And, you know, and I was like, I'll think about it. So when I broke up with my girlfriend, I was like, you know, all the memories were traumatic there. I was just like, you know, just thinking about that person. I'm like, I need a fresh start, and I need to go where music and songwriting is prevalent. And literally, I was looking at a Southwest Airlines napkin, and it had the different states. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, that's not far from Wisconsin. And I'm looking at Nashville. And that's literally how I picked it. I'm like, well, I got to go to New York. No, thank you. Or California. I toured there before, and I was just like, it's not what it looks like in the movies. And I'm like, no, thank you. So then it was kind of like, where do I go? And then it was between Austin, Texas, and Nashville, Tennessee. And the proximity to Wisconsin and Chicago made me choose Nashville.
Okay. And Austin, from what I hear, is very busy and traffic is a bear. And I don't know about Nashville because I'm sure Nashville is pretty bad too with the traffic and everything.
Oh, Austin's tech. I've never been there.
I haven't, I've went a long, long time ago, but my friend told me a few years ago when she went, she's like, traffic is just a bear all the time.
Oh, well, good. It's bad here too.
Oh. Well, where isn't it really bad? I mean, Chicago, you know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. When I get in traffic, and I'm a private piano instructor as well. So when I'm driving to these homes, which are like 25 miles away in Franklin, Tennessee, sometimes I allow an hour. So that's kind of, yeah, it's pretty bad. But
yeah, I mean, typical Chicago commute. I used to live in Harvard. It would be 2 hours to get downtown Chicago on a day with traffic.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't always like this. When I moved here in Nashville, it was awesome. It was like a small town feel with famous people. You'd go to the bar. I've met Kid Rock, Blake Shelton, and it was just like, wow, I felt like I was in college again, just with celebrities. And now all of a sudden it kind of shifted 7, 8 years ago. And all of a sudden you started to have the pedal taverns, and you had the buses with the bachelorettes, and it just changed. They started tearing down mom and pop shops, and all of a sudden it's these high rises and big corporate America. and Music Row started to disappear too, buildings where I recorded. So it's been really sad seeing that transition. So it wasn't always this overpopulated feeling. It had a small town charm. So I miss that.
Hopefully, Bluebird Cafe will always remain, though, because I mean, that's such an iconic place.
Have you seen what
I
it
have
looks
not
like?
seen. I mean, I am aware of it because of Nashville, the TV
Mhm.
show. But I mean, I've talked to several artists, and they've talked. The ones that have played it talk about how amazing it is to be in there and how historic.
It is. It is. There's an energy here as a creative that, I don't feel in Wisconsin, I can say. And just, it makes me a better artist. I think it makes all of us better because the talent is just everywhere, which can be overwhelming because it's like, I'm such a little fish in such a big pond. But at the same time, you rise to the occasion. But right now, they built a huge condo next to Bluebird. So there was this like the strip mall that it was in with a little barber shop and all this. And now it's just Bluebird and this high rise next to it. So it just doesn't make sense. But I'm happy they kept it. They were going to tear it
Wow. I mean, I would think that would have an historic landmark.
down. Right.
This.
Well, NSAI, to my knowledge, purchased it. So National Songwriters Association. So then they bought that. So hopefully it'll stick around. But it
Hopefully.
is amazing playing there.
I can imagine. I mean, I've heard it's a very intimate venue, and
Very.
it's history. There's history there, lots of it.
Oh, it's amazing. When I first moved to town, I did the songwriters night and I was out in the snow with my guitar and waiting to go in, and you get a little number and you might get picked, you might not. It was very random, but then when I did play, I'm up there and I'm like, everyone's listening. Like you can't talk there or you'll get kicked out. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to playing at a loud bar. Everyone's talking and drinking. So I was like, it made me very nervous because I'm like, God, they're just looking at me and listening. So
I,
that just shows how important the song is.
well, that's what I was gonna. That had to be unnerving. I mean, because all eyes on you. That just you better make sure you're bringing your A game. Otherwise,
Right. And don't forget the lyrics. And yeah, it was intense, but pretty cool.
so are you playing this? Are you playing your new record live anywhere, or is this just gonna
I
be?
am.
Okay.
I just scheduled my CD release party at Lipstick Lounge, which is the only lesbian bar in Nashville, Tennessee. It's in East Nashville. And that will be the 27th of April. So that will be my next show.
And
I
then,
might have some before then, but yes.
while you're in Wisconsin, are you planning on playing any?
I'm running the restaurant with my family, my
Okay.
sister-in-law Erica, my brother Lenny. So now we are running it, and I get to work with my niece Tatiana, who's amazing. And so when I'm up there, I'm kind of focused. June, July, and August is when you got to make your
Right.
money. That's the tourist season. It's very short.
Yeah,
But so I do play a little bit, and I host an open mic every Thursday at the restaurant. So
nice,
anyone can come up and play.
nice. Yeah, I have a friend
Yeah.
whose parents has a place in the Dells, and yes, they open it up for the summer and then they close it for the winter.
Mhm.
So that's very much
Yep.
the thing to do, especially Chicago from Illinois to Wisconsin. A lot of people do that.
Oh, yes. It was just
Const-
normal.
hmm
We have a summer home. It was just normal.
Yeah, my
Not that
friend.
we were wealthy, we were middle class, but yeah.
Well, my friend's. She's still mind boggled that she's like, "So you've lived here how long, and you've never been to Wisconsin Dells?" I'm like, "No, never."
I've never been to Wisconsin Dells every summer of my life, and my niece is there right now. And when I open my eyes this morning, I see all these pictures from the Dells, and I'm like, I've never been there. It's like you got to race, and you got to get that ferry boat, and then that's it. You're on the island. I don't leave until the season's over. So the island's here,
hmm
and I'm guessing the Dells are like up here. So
I don't
you're
know.
like, I don't know.
I went to Madison for the first time a couple of weeks ago, so it's like, and I didn't get to walk around because, yeah, it was for medical reasons, but it's like, okay, I finally made it to Madison.
I've never been there either. I was on a radio show, but it was just like this. But
Mhm.
I haven't been there physically.
So, what do you plan on doing as far as do you plan on touring or anything with the record once it's out and once you're back home from? for this, from the summer? Are you planning on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I want to play also more festivals and just get a larger audience. Also, I've done house concerts. I love that because it's more intimate. They're going to listen, you know. So it is difficult finding venues here. Most of the time, it's a writer's round. I don't know if you've been to one of those, but there's usually like 3, 4 artists lined up on bar stools with their guitar, and we kind of each play a song 3 rounds through. So
Nice.
I'm looking to expand past that and do more of my own shows.
Which would be
So
good.
that's the goal.
I mean, I've dealt some of the people I've talked to that are out there, they talk about how hard it is, but how quality the writing is out there. To find writing
Mhm.
partners, the quality of people, there's a huge pool for you. A huge
Oh,
pool.
there is. I never co-wrote before I moved to Nashville. It was just you write your own songs. Now, this album consists of songs that I wrote 100%, the melody, the lyrics. So that's what makes it special, especially in Nashville, where the average song is written by 3 people. So, but I do like co-writing because, say, I'm playing with somebody that has a wider range vocally than I have, because I'm, more in the middle, alto, and so then you can write around that. So it's pretty cool. It's like a box of crayons with 24 crayons, and I have 6 crayons. And so the process is kind of a little bit faster. Some songs take me 10 years. My song This Much on the album, I sat on it, I thought about it. And so that's my spirituality song, This Much. So yeah, some songs take longer. More Than Just a Burger was the last song I wrote, and I'm like, this album just doesn't feel finished. I've shared everything about myself, but I wanted to tell my mom and dad's story about opening the restaurant. So that was the last song I wrote. Thanksgiving evening, it was finished.
How does it feel to carry on the tradition of the restaurant?
It feels amazing. I always tell mom, I'm like, you're the songwriter on this. My mom and dad, opened it, but my mom ran it. But I said, I'm just playing your cover song, but I give them all the credit. So if we can carry it on where people don't even know there was a change of hands, then that's my goal.
Yeah.
So we won Best Burger in Door County. So that was pretty cool. And just want to consistently bring the product, with extra TLC, as my mom would say, tender loving care.
Well, that's important because people do recognize when
Yeah.
places change. So if you
Hmm.
can still bring that back and people still have that memory and come back every year, then it's important. You've done your
Oh,
job.
yeah. That's why I say in my song, we're feeding generations just one order at a time.
Hmm.
And we are. I see the same people, and it's like, what they order. So it's like, even unfortunately after Gerd and True Blood passed away, I know that he would order a Polish sausage, everything, mustard, relish, onion, tomato, pickle, pepper, one hot pepper. So it's like, I know what people order. I might not remember their name, but I know what you order. So if you came up to the island, I'll make you a burger. If you're a vegetarian, we have 60 flavors of shakes. Soft serve ice cream, sundaes, banana split is ginormous.
That's
I'm
cool.
pretty boring though. People are like, "What's your favorite shake?" And I'm like, I haven't even had all the flavors. I'm a chocolate shake. Do you have a favorite flavor? I bet we have it.
I mean, it ranges, and the thing is, it's like, you got to be in a mood. Sometimes you're in a mood for one
Hmm.
thing, and sometimes you're in a mood for
Right.
another thing.
Yeah.
And, for me, it's like, do I have a favorite? Sometimes I do. I mean, if you ask me my favorite ice cream, I'd tell you Ben and Jerry's Chubby Hubby, but I
I've
don't eat
never
that
had
very
that.
often. It's a malted ice cream with peanut butter swirls and chocolate covered peanut butter filled pretzels.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's pretty good, but I don't eat it very often. And that used to be my stressor. It's like if I was having a
Uh-huh.
really bad day, give me that.
That's
I don't do that anymore. But
funny.
so you got your memberships in ASCAP and in SAI. How hard was
Hmm.
that for you to get that? Did you have to meet certain requirements in order to get that, or did you just pay your dues?
Not really. Yeah, ASCAP, not really. NSAI, you can be a member, but a lot of times you have to like live in Nashville. You also have to write your own songs, have, albums under your belt. But I love being a part of that. I just met with Bart Herbison, the executive director at NSAI, and he's like going to the Wizard of Oz, and he's Oz. And it was really hard to finally get to meet him and talk with him. But he has seen it all. And so just to have those experiences, it's worth it to be a member, definitely. So I was going to say, oh yeah, the one thing I didn't mention, which is pretty cool about my story, is that I was born with one functioning vocal cord. So that has made my journey interesting.
I would say so.
I should bring it up, but yeah.
I would say, I mean, because you definitely have to watch your voice when you're playing live, singing live.
Yeah, I always say the only way you would know is if we were at a loud place like a bar. You're probably not going to hear me because I can't project my voice as loud. But if we were just talking like this, I don't think you would know a difference. Or if I was playing at a venue, you wouldn't know. But it is my pet peeve when it's like the sound person just won't turn up the monitor, and I'm like, or turn up the volume. I'm like, please, just give me a break. Just turn it up a little bit. Don't be stingy.
Yeah, because I mean that puts strain on your vocal cord, and if you only have one,
right,
once that's tanked, you
right,
have to be careful.
Usually, yeah, the day after, if I have to project too much, it's like I have a wicked bad sore throat for like the next day. So that's the only thing. I don't think you can see the scar, but it's there. But yeah.
I mean, I know you said you teach piano. What would you tell people that are wanting to start in the music business and they're in high school and they don't know what they should do about college? What would you tell them to do?
Of course, I would say to follow your dreams. I have no regrets about following my dream of being a musician. Like I say in my album, it's who we are. It's not what I do. It goes into every cell of my being. So I would also say, don't quit your day job, and it's okay to make money in various ways. I mean, there's people I know that tour with bands as players. There's people that work at restaurants. It's okay. You're still a musician. I don't want people to think bad about themselves and feel less than just because they have a means to make money. I did meet some artists when I first moved to Nashville, and I looked in his refrigerator and there was no food, not a speck of food. And there was a bottle of Southern Comfort. And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, that was it. And he had a sleeping bag on the floor of this rundown apartment. And some people think you have to be that struggling artist and you have to couch surf, and it doesn't have to be that way. You're still a serious artist if you have a different means to make money.
That's kind of what I was talking to some people earlier that are in a band and they have day jobs, and we were talking about the fact that sometimes having that day job, having the passion to do music or write a book or whatever after the fact balances you out, because if you're in a dead-end job that you really don't like, you still have something you're passionate about to work on.
Right. For me, being able to teach piano lessons when I'm in Nashville has been really amazing, because it was a lot of doing food. It's like I do it all summer and then I would waitress, and I'm just like, I felt less than a musician when it was just, I don't know, just doing that. And then it has helped me. So now I teach piano lessons virtually like this or in person. So that's been amazing. I can make more money doing something in music than, just waitressing. So for me, that was a huge step. And that actually happened right around the time of COVID, which was a blessing that I had no idea where, they're like, you could still do virtual lessons. I'm like, what's that? And I'm like, how am I going to see them? Because a lot of times this is what I see, the student's head. I don't see their whole hands or anything. So it's all by ear. So I can tell that's a C, that's a G, no, play this, put your hand here. So that was amazing. So when a lot of people at the restaurant were let go where I worked, I was blessed to be able to continue with lessons.
It's truly a blessing, because that was a time where things weren't the best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was horrible. So yes. So it's okay. Again, yes, to make money in various ways and to continue your passion. And so I hope if people check this out, please look me up on YouTube or my website. I think spelling my name is the hardest part, but I like that. I think you have my name
It
up
is,
there.
yeah. It's
So
up there. It's up there. Is there
everyone's
any,
like, what's your name?
is there, well, I do say your full name at the beginning of the show. I wait until after I've done everything to do that kind of stuff because when I first started, it was like, okay, I'm going to do the intro with the guest on. No, because if I flub it, then you're sitting here going, okay, here we go. So, and I admit, I flub. I flub a lot because I don't have any script. But anyway, is there anything I have that we haven't talked about that you would like to add?
I think that's it. I think, unfortunately in this industry, and I'm sure with you too, anything in the arts, it's all about numbers, and that can be exhausting. How many Instagram followers? How many Facebook followers? How many views on YouTube? So everyone asks, like, what can people do to help us? Just watch it. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube, or look me up on Instagram. If you go to my website, just laurasawosko.com, it's all there. All the links are there. You can watch videos, music, Spotify, all that. So I think that's been the hardest part, as a songwriter as well. We used to make money by selling, the physical copy of the album. And although I have it and I love it, how many people have a CD player anymore?
But here's the thing, I have noticed a trend because people are starting to see that we don't own the media that we listen to, that we download, that we don't necessarily own that. And so some people are going back to getting vinyl and wanting the tangible.
I hope so.
My friend actually bought her nephew a cassette player with a cassettes because he wanted that.
Wow, cool.
So I think that as we look at the digital age, if we start seeing that, hey, suddenly it's something that you thought you owned, you don't, and it's gone,
Right.
you're going to want that tangible copy.
And I love reading the liner notes. I want to read the thank yous. I want to read the credits. I'm a nerd about lyrics. I want to read the lyrics. So I made sure that in this album, I paid extra to have the little booklet so you can read all that.
Nice.
And so that was important for me. So they can also get that when it's released, April 18th. Right? Yes. I'm
I
like,
believe it
all these
is.
dates I'm trying to remember.
I believe it is the 18th. So,
Okay.
well, I thank you, Laura, for coming on.
Well, thank you.
Laura and it was like sitting down with a friend talking about many different things. And that's one thing I like about doing the show is because when you actually get to sit down and talk to people and you find similarities and can go off on little tangents and talk about life. Because I don't think that we actually talk about life enough. We don't talk about our experiences. I mean, her telling her mom, hey, yeah, remember I graduated with honors. I only had fun on the weekends. We don't really look, we don't let our parents see that side of us. We don't want our parents to be embarrassed. When my father-in-law was alive and my husband was in the hospital, there was a point where it was kind of interesting because my father-in-law and I would sit there and he would tell me stories that he would never tell his kids. I knew all these things, and I'm talking to my husband later on after, weeks later. We're just talking, and he's like, "So, what did you and my dad talk about?" And I'm telling him these stories like he never told me that. Like, well, yeah, yeah, this happened and this happened. He's like, "Well, he never told us that." Okay, but that's because I wasn't the family. I was family, but I wasn't family. And my late husband used to joke around that, the only other person he ever saw his dad joke with like that was with me. It was with his wife. So it kind of gave him a outlet at the time. It kind of gave Rich that outlet that he was able to have some fun because at the time his wife was in the nursing home. So John's in the hospital, his wife's in the nursing home, and we're sitting at the end of my husband's bed talking because we both needed that communication. We both needed to be able to joke around because everything else was just kind of like waiting for something to happen, which isn't easy. But I think if we actually start to look at our parents, and I've had that experience lately with my father, that I'm looking at him differently and he's looking at me differently. And I think it's become a better relationship because of it. And that's important because evolution, as I was going into the issue with the cancer, it was kind of one of those things where it's like our relationship wasn't the best. But now it has gotten better, and it seems he realizes that I need to have certain things, and I'm grateful for it. So if you have your parents still around, try to, and maybe if the relationship's not the best, and I understand sometimes things aren't the best because of certain aspects of our lives, politics or whatever. Sometimes we have to look at them and look at who they truly are. If there is some part of you that still needs something from them to heal, to make things better, then embrace that, and be willing to embrace taking risk, because moving from Chicago to Arizona to have that experience in college, it was the best thing she could do for her. But you have to be willing to take that step. So on that note, I'd like to thank Laura for coming on the show. I'd like to thank Rich Sy from Third Year Audio Productions for doing the audio productions. I'd like to thank Fast Susie for the intro and outro music. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you, the listener or viewer, for tuning in. And whether it's evening, morning, noon, or night, I really do appreciate you tuning in. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.